The world is watching a terrifying paradox unfold, a massive global escalation of violence, all justified in the name of peace, security, and deterrence. But look past the diplomatic jargon, and the reality is clear. The international order is collapsing, replaced by a brutal law of jungle. From the burning coastlines of the Persian Gulf to the frozen battlefields of Eastern Europe and the militarized water of the Pacific, the red lines that once held the world together are being erased in real time. We begin in the Middle East, where the regional powder keg has finally transitioned from proxy battles to direct high stakes confrontation. The fragile diplomatic track between Washington and Tehran has been shattered by a series of unprecedented direct strikes. In a shocking move that has paralyzed regional logistics, Iran launched drone and missile attacks targeting Kuwait, hitting its main international airport and resulting in at least one death, while simultaneously striking targets in Bahrain. The US retaliated with force, striking Iranian military infrastructure and oil facilities near the strategic Strait of Hormuz, specifically on Qasem Island. In response, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, has effectively seized control of the world's most vital energy artery. The IRGC now declares that the only safe route through the Strait of Hormuz is the one they designate. Any ship that deviates will be targeted. With nearly 20% of the world's oil consumption passing through this narrow passage, global markets are panicking and oil prices are jumping. While the Trump administration continues to claim that talks are ongoing and that Iran has agreed not to pursue nuclear weapons, the facts on the ground tell a story of total stalemate. The fire has also consumed Lebanon. We recently saw major escalation when Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu ordered strikes on Beirut, a move so provocative it reportedly forced President Trump to intervene directly, demanding an immediate halt to prevent a total regional implosion. Iran has issued a stark ultimatum. Any further attacks on Beirut will be met with a devastating response against northern Israel. Now, the US is attempting to mediate a ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon, but the talks are haunted by a history of broken promises. Iran has officially pulled back from these negotiations, stating it will not return to the table until the strikes stop and demanding that any ceasefire must include Lebanon as a package deal. On the ground, the truce is a ghost. Israel continues operation in southern Lebanon against Hezbollah, while Hezbollah uses drones and rockets to target Israeli positions, maintaining that peace is impossible until a full withdrawal from Lebanese territory occurs. This lack of trust extends to Gaza. Despite a deal brokered in Egypt by President Trump, the ceasefire has been repeatedly violated. The strikes continue, the death toll climbs, and what the world is witnessing is a genocide. The result is a total collapse of Western credibility. Regional actors are no longer looking to the US for solutions. They are realizing their own strength to challenge a world order they believe is rigged against them. But as the Middle East burns, Eastern Europe is reaching a breaking point that could drag the entire continent into the abyss. The Russia-Ukraine war has entered its most dangerous phase yet. Ukraine recently launched bold long-range drone strike on St. Petersburg, hitting a naval base and an oil terminal just as Vladimir Putin's Russia's Davos, the International Economic Forum, was beginning. The Russian response was a rain of fire. In one of the largest coordinated attacks of the war, Moscow launched dozens of missiles and hundreds of drones, killing between 13 to 22 people across Ukrainian cities, including Kyiv. This wasn't just a military operation, it was a message to NATO. The Kremlin is warning that the Western arms cannot stop Russian advancement, and they have issued a direct threat to the UK, France, and Germany. Any mistake in supporting Ukraine's deep strikes will be met with a symmetric response, and the consequences will rest solely on the shoulders of European leaders. With Belarus mobilizing and drone falling in Romania, The conflict is no longer contained within Ukrainian borders. Finally, we turn to the Western Pacific, the world's economic heart, which is rapidly becoming its most militarized zone. Despite recent high-level meeting between President Xi and President Trump, China's anger over US arms sales to Taiwan has reached a boiling point. Beijing has responded with aggressive naval patrolling around the island, a clear signal that it remains ready to take Taiwan at any cost. At the same time, Japan is facing accusation from Beijing of neo-militarism. China points to Tokyo's record-breaking defense budgets and its move to loosen arms export rules as evidence of a dangerous remilitarization. This, coupled with the intensifying territorial disputes between China and the Philippines in the South China Sea, has created a secondary front of global tension. What were once isolated maritime disputes are now interconnected with the broader strategic struggle between superpowers. When you look at the map, these events are not isolated. The Middle East, Ukraine, Taiwan, they are all connected by a single terrifying reality. Trust between the great powers has hit zero. We are living in a world where deterrence has replaced diplomacy and where military might is the only language being spoken. Ceasefires are being signed, but they aren't lasting because they are built on sand. Great powers are providing a masterclass in the law of the jungle, where international law is applied only when convenient. As alliances harden and armies mobilize, the world is no longer just watching a series of conflict. It is bracing for a global realignment that may shape the next century. The question is no longer whether these conflicts will escalate, but whether anything remains of the international system to stop them from merging into a single global conflagration.